Series tonight, and it is on dating and relationships. Woo! I know that's all your favorite topics. But hey, here's what I want to say. Before we move any further, here's what I want to say. I recognize that in a room this size, there are some of you that are in a relationship. And I recognize there are some of you that want to be in a relationship that aren't. And I recognize that there are some of you that could care less about being in a relationship. It's not even on your radar. And here's what I want to say before we go any further, is that this month, God has something to say to you, whether you don't care at all about being in a relationship or whether you are currently in a relationship. God has something to say to you, no matter where you fall in that spectrum of relationships. Now, February is an exciting time for Kirsten and I. Yes, it's Valentine's, the month of Valentine's Day, and we are madly in love and been married for 13 and a half years and have 4 kids together, but we are excited for the month of February, not because it's Valentine's Day. I'll be honest. It's not super exciting for us. Although I love my wife, I adore her, I told her happy Valentine's Day this morning, but the reason we're excited about February is this. Yes, seeds! Whew, I bet you all were like, dude, I'm excited about February for seeds too, right? Here's the thing, is that these are just a small portion of the seeds that Kirsten and I have ready to be planted and to go into our garden. Right? So we have a box that is about this long, okay, by about this wide, and front to back, it is just cram-packed full of these little seed packets, right? And so, January, we start making plans for what is going to go in our garden and where it's going to go. But February, we have the seeds ordered, we have the seeds in hand, and we get to plant the seeds. And we get to watch them start to push their way up through the dirt. Now, I know this sounds crazy, all right? Here's the way we roll in our gardening world in our house. In our bedroom, we have 2 grow lights. And we have 2, have you seen like the trays that are about yay by yay of garden plants? We have 2 of those trays on a shelf in our bedroom. And then in a living room, we have 2 more grow lights, and we have 2 more of those trays. And we just moved an entire shelving unit from our bedroom to the playroom, and it has like 6 shelves with multiple trays and grow lights and all kinds of stuff on it. So we take our gardening very, very seriously. Now, last year, we decided we were going to plant some onions. We love onions at our house. Anybody a big onion eater, just like it? No? Some of you? All right, there we go. All right, we love onions. Like, red onions can go on anything. Yellow onions can go in any kind of meal. We like putting green onions on all kinds of stuff. We just love onions. And so we had this small little space in our garden last year where we thought, all right, what are we going to plant? Let's plant something that we can use because we like to try to eat off of what we plant. And so we decided we're going to plant some onions. Now, when we decided to plant onions, we had to answer 2 questions because we had a small space. We had to answer the question, what do we want? Okay? There are all kinds, there's like red onions, white onions, yellow onions, green onions. We had to decide, what do we want and what are our priorities? What do we want and what are our priorities? We decided we wanted red onions, yellow onions, and we wanted some green onions, and we planted accordingly, trying to set up our priorities so that we would have the right amount of onions for the right space. Now, here's why I tell you this. Because just like the questions we asked about onions, these are 2 of the most important questions you can ask yourself when you begin to enter the dating realm. Before you begin to enter the dating realm, 2 of the most important questions. What do I want, and what are my priorities? What do I want, and what are my priorities? Because here's the thing, at the end of the day, we want a relationship that looks like 1 Corinthians 13. We want a relationship that looks like this. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist in its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. That's what we want in a relationship. But so often we don't really answer the question, what do we want? What do you want a relationship with another person to look like when you are doing that thing that is absolutely driving them crazy, right? And they are just about to blow a gasket and their patience is just shot, right? How do you want them to treat you? Do you want them to be patient? What do you want in a person in the way that they are kind to other people and kind to you? What do you want in a person in the way that they are arrogant or boastful? It's okay to be confident, but when you pay attention, do you pay attention to how that person acts? Are they confident in who they are, or are they pushing the line of arrogant or boastful? And we could go down this entire list and answer the question, what do you want? And you could ask more questions. What do you want in someone in a work ethic as they become a possible future spouse? What do you want in someone as a future husband or wife? How do you want them to treat you? What do you want in someone that is going to be a possible mother or father to your children? What do you want in someone when they are angry at you and you guys are in an argument? How should they behave? How should they act? These are all questions that we could ask ourselves, and we could begin to answer those questions. And I tell this every year to whatever group of students are here in the month of February, because it is so vitally important to set up your dating life. If you can create a list of what you want, and you can judge people you are interested by that list, it is going to save you a lot of heartache in the future. And we'll talk more about using this list that we are going to create next week when we talk about guarding our hearts. But this week, I really want to focus in here on just answering the question, what do you want? And then you have to answer the question, what are my priorities? When I met Kirsten, there were a smattering of things that I thought I would like in someone that I might marry someday. I wanted the person to not like country music. That didn't happen, right? You've heard that story before. I also wanted someone that was going to be an incredible mom. I wanted someone that was a Christian, but I wanted someone that was more than just a Christian that goes to church. I wanted someone that took their faith seriously and was going to make my faith even stronger. I wanted someone that was authentically loving and kind to other people. And I could go down a list, but when I look at my priorities, those were the priorities. Someone that had a relationship with Jesus that was going to make mine stronger. Someone that was going to be a good mother, and someone that was authentically kind and loving to other people. Those were my three priorities. And so what I want to encourage you guys to do is begin to ask yourselves these questions. What do I want, and what are my priorities? And you just start making a list. You just start listing it all out. And then you go back through that list and you highlight your priorities. These priorities are your non-negotiables. These are the things that without a doubt you are going to find in another person. And if someone doesn't meet those priorities, you look for someone that does. You know, we planted our onions last year, and we took care of our onions, and we harvested our onions. We had a great onion harvest. I think I've got a picture of it here. There's Clark bringing in some onions. There's a small bit of our onion harvest. We had like 3 or 4 screens completely packed full of nothing but onions. They grew fantastic, and we harvested them, and we were so excited, right? We were so excited about these onions because we were going to store them under the house. Yes, I cut a hole in the floor in my closet and made like a little gate that opened up so we could put the onions under the house where it was nice and cool and dark, and we were going to store them under there, and we were going to have them all winter long, right? And so we took care of them, and we put them in these crates, and we put them under the house, and we were so excited, and we checked on them every day because you got to get rid of the ones that are going bad or starting to sprout, because if they start to sprout, then your whole onion harvest is going to be for a loss. And so we're checking on them every day, and within a week, like, all of them start sprouting. We're like, no, right? Because it means those onions are going bad. They're going to spoil. And we suddenly don't have all these onions for the winter. And here's the thing. The thing is that we want onions that are long-term storage onions. When we asked ourselves, what do we want in onions? We said, we want a red onion, we want a yellow onion, and we want some green onions. But we didn't take the time to really ask ourselves what we wanted. Because in red onions, and yellow onions, and green onions, there are long day onions, and there are short day onions. In Indiana, you have to grow long day onions. Not only that, in yellow, green, and red onions, there are long day onions, and then there are a variety of types of long day onions, some that store better than others. And so you have to go and you have to ask yourself, what type of red long day onion do I want? You know what I did when we decided to grow onions? I went to Walmart and I picked up a seed packet of red onions. I had no idea about long day, short day. I had no idea about making sure that we had the right type of long day red onion or right type of long day yellow onion. I just went to Walmart and I picked out a packet of red onions and a packet of yellow onions and a packet of green onions. We hadn't quite ordered our onions online yet. And here's the thing. So often in our dating relationships, we do the equivalent of going to Walmart and picking out a seed packet. Yeah, we may ask ourselves a little bit about what we want, and usually we narrow it down to the superficial aspects of someone. We're like, I want someone that's cute, or I want someone that's hot, right? And we say, all right, that's what I want in someone, and we go and we do the equivalent of going to a Walmart and picking out a seed packet, and that's it. But the deal is just like our onions, we want a relationship that is going to be long-term storage. We don't want a relationship that is going to spoil quickly. We don't want a dating relationship that is going to rot and it's going to leave scars and hurt on our hearts. We want a relationship that is going to last, a relationship that is going to honor God. And so often, we haven't asked ourselves enough questions about what we want. And we haven't set up the proper priorities. What do you want? What do you want in a relationship? For a lot of you, this may be the very first time that you have ever asked yourself, what do I want in a relationship? And it can be scary. It can be scary to think 10, 15 years down the road. It can be scary to start to look at people and think, all right, if I want someone that's kind, am I looking at how they treat other people before I just go jump in a relationship with them? It can be scary to begin to make a list and really say, all right, I want someone that meets these qualifications. But here's the deal. When we ask ourselves the appropriate questions and we begin to examine and go after someone that meets that criteria, it saves a lot of hurt in the future. And ultimately, we want a relationship that doesn't spoil. And so you have to ask yourselves the questions, what do I want and what are my priorities? Look at 1 Corinthians again. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. And ultimately, that's what we want. We want a love that never ends. When Kirsten and I went to go get onions this year, you know what we did? We did our research. We made sure that we were getting long day onions. We made sure that in the category of long day onions, we were getting the type of long day onion that is known for storing best. And this past weekend, well, not this past weekend, a few days ago, we went ahead and we planted all of our onion seeds. We planted like 4 trays of onion seeds, a whole bunch of onions. And we are really, really excited. And I want to encourage you guys to treat your dating relationships the same way. Whether you are not even the slightest bit interested or whether you are already in a relationship, you can start now and you can begin to make a list about what you want in a relationship. I give a practical challenge every week, and this week it's really, really practical. This week I've got a whole bunch of these printed off. It just says what I want in a person I'm dating. And I've got some questions to kind of get you started, to kind of get your mind thinking, and then I've just got tons of blank spaces. And I just want to encourage you sometime this week to take this paper tonight and sometime this week, start to fill this out. Start to fill this out. And again, we'll talk more about what we do with these papers next week. But I want to encourage you to fill this out and then take a highlighter and highlight what are your priorities. For me, country music, it was not a priority. When I met Kirsten and she loved other people and she loved God and I saw that she was going to be a good mom, I was like, well, I don't like country music, but I can try. And lo and behold, I like country music, right? And so you got to set up your priorities. So grab one of these tonight, and this week, fill this out, and begin to ask yourselves the questions, what do I want, and what are my priorities? What do I want, and what are my priorities? I am confident that if we can begin to answer these questions, that your dating relationships are going to be more healthy, and your future marriage to a future husband or wife, while you may not avoid all hurt, will also be more healthy. Check this out.